Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream on the Womp Beta launch. Excited to have everyone here. Very excited to announce our beta launch. As you guys know, we've been in alpha for a really, really long time, and it's time for us to go into beta. And we've made a lot of different changes to Womp, hopefully all really exciting to everyone. We've made Womp's interface a little bit more consistent, a little tighter, a little bit less maybe inconsistent. So you guys will notice a little bit of a different change in the interface, but really the core of Womp hasn't changed. We've just tried to clean up a little bit of our interface. Another really exciting thing that I hope everyone is really happy and excited about is to see that we're actually highlighting some of our most renowned or most active users. And we're excited to share that with the rest of the world and really highlight people in their portfolio in Womp. And here you'll see some of those examples of folks that we have cherry picked to be one of our verified creators. And if you do have the time to check them out, please do, because we did spend a lot of time sort of cherry picking, and these are all incredibly talented people. And we hope that the world can really acknowledge the incredible work people are making, and of course, get some work out of the incredible stuff that's being posted on Womp. And so we look forward to seeing the results of highlighting our verified creators. We will be putting a way for you guys to apply and to become a verified creator, so stay tuned for that. Another thing you might notice is a slight change in our interface as well with products or with projects that are being shared. Of course, none of our functionality is changing, but we are continuing to clean up all of the social aspects. Womp has a very strong social aspect to it, so we're going to continue to clean that up. But I think one of the biggest changes we've made is really inside of the projects, inside of making and creating. You guys will notice a little bit of a speed up when creating a file or opening a file. It's definitely an improvement for us to allow users to easily transition between files. Maybe right now it's taking actually a little longer than usual to open up, but we're getting a big surge of people on Womp, so that might be one of the reasons why. One of the biggest changes we've made this release is in materials. And before I jump into the procedural materials and all of the pro materials, the actual renderer on Womp for the free version has improved to become a industry standard. So you'll see your materials be a little bit more reflective. The glass will be a little bit less dull. And we're continuing to improve it, but we've reached the standard of other softwares like Blender or Cinema 4D as far as the math and the equations to reach glass, to reach metalness, all of these things. So you will see a small difference in your old files. So you can always opt in for our new renderer, or you can choose to keep your old file the way it was. I think rough glass is a very, very, very big difference from last time when you used to do rough glass. Previously, the glass would get really dark and kind of dull. And now our glass is really nice and it keeps its lightness without getting dull or getting darker when, increasing the rough slider. So that's something that we really are excited about. And I think that when we jump into the pro sliders and pro things inside of Womp, you guys will notice that we've added a lot of different new things. And this is just, again, to bring Womp into the same quality and the same professionalism that other softwares have without the difficulty. One of my favorite things is taking a material into semi-clear and including now a translucency weight so that you can actually give it some volumetric weight inside. And this is best highlighted when you give it a color inside as well. So being able to create these amazing sort of resin or plastic materials. In this case, I've taken a red plastic or a red glass. You can also mix glass into that. And I've given it a volume of blue and giving it a nice translucency weight. And you can play around with these sliders, but really giving a whole nother level of depth to materials. Of course, if I bring down the glass, maybe it's a little bit more of a soap-like material. And yeah, this has been really exciting for us as a team to play around with, because the materials that can be achieved here are already really, really exciting. One other thing, of course, playing with material thickness has been improved. So you'll see a lot more shine when you get to a total material thickness, meaning the full index of refraction on your materials, and being able to drop that completely to zero as well, which makes things look really, really nice. Um, I would really suggest that if you do have the pro subscription, that you play around with these sliders. Really incredible things can be achieved. I'm constantly amazed by things that I just playing around with can achieve, and just like new materials that I wouldn't even know what to call them, but are just exciting to make content with. So yeah, if you do have that pro subscription, these sliders on their own without the procedural materials, I think are a really exciting addition to Womp. Now jumping into what I think is probably one of the more exciting things that we have worked really hard on is an addition to our pro materials, which is an image-based procedural material, or an image-based projected material. And these projected materials are really indiscriminate of UV mapping. So unlike your programs like maybe a Blender or Cinema 4D, in this case, you really don't need a UV map to project these textures. And you can really play around with all of the incredible sliders to now play with texture and materials. And so I really like the scale material. If we now make it semi-clear, give it some translucency weight, it comes like a clear plastic. Maybe I can give it a color inside. It's honestly a lot of fun to play around with this stuff. And like I said before, you never know what you'll end up creating when you're playing around with these guys. But it's definitely endless combinations of things that will create incredible stuff. So yeah, if you do have that pro subscription, I suggest you play around. We are going to be releasing more of these materials also for our free users, especially during special occasions. Those are designed by me, and I hope to do more of that, because I would love for all of our users to get a chance to play around with these materials. And of course, a lot more exciting things are coming up in this vein, but this is our first step into materials that are image-based. This is another one of my favorites, is the wood, scratched wood. I really, really like this material. It's sort of, it's just not as predictable of a wood. And I don't know, I want the default cube in this scratched wood. I need to make this like like physically. I want this as maybe as a chair of some sort. But that's another one of my favorites. And again, the parameters are a little different. If you've played with the procedural materials before, these parameters are a little bit different. You can make your scale large or small. If you have played with the free procedural projected materials that we've offered for, let's say, Women's Day or for St. Patrick's Day, you'll know what I mean. You can change lightness and you can change saturation. So it's more of the traditional 2D flow that we had, that you have in things like Photoshop or whatever. It's going to be more of those kind of editing tools for your images. And of course, much like anything else in Womp, you can goop them together and mix them together. So I'm really excited to see what people make, because with our previous procedural materials, we were already really blown away by what people made. And now we've just kind of, created a whole new dimension of what people can create and do. So I'm excited to see that. I'll just show a few other materials that I am kind of obsessed with. The nacre is another one that is really exciting to me. This one is a very subtle material, but once it's rendered and sort of has its lighting and everything in its right stage, it's got a lot of depth to it, and playing around with it is a lot of fun as well. Making it have a different, color depth. You'll see it almost like the nacre stuff glows almost. So yeah, this one is probably one of, and I'm going to keep playing around. I haven't had enough time to play around with the nacre and like get it to be, I don't know, like super exactly what I want it to be, but maybe putting a light inside. Anyway, there's like a lot to play around with the procedural materials. Yeah, just I think I could probably do like hours and hours of these materials, but our team has done an incredible job to create these really juicy and like really high res materials to to get to that pro level with that ease of use. That's what we really want everyone to feel here. Like the quality of what you can achieve in Womp is equal to other engines without needing this difficulty and the UV maps and the polygons and all that kind of stuff. So that's really exciting to me. Another thing that maybe some folks have noticed is we now allow people to upload files, which is a really exciting thing. So now we can upload 3D models. If you find, I've been playing around with, I'll show you guys, I go and find Sketchfab rocks from NASA. See if I can find some rock models, and bringing those into Womp has been a lot of fun, and just playing around with these kind of very natural or realistic textures in Womp has been, let me see if I can find one. I actually, let me see, it's not the NASA actual, let's see. I recommend, especially for those folks who are interested, here we go. This repository is really beautiful. Especially for folks who are interested in importing models or using models that are not made in Womp to enhance your scene. Maybe it's a background, maybe it's something that you really don't feel like modeling. I do recommend Sketchfab as a great repository. Just make sure that you follow the licenses on there. I like the scientific repositories. Everything is free and free to use commercially, etc. So once you've downloaded that OBJ file, you can go and upload it as a zip, and it will upload into Womp. It will make it into our type of geometry, which makes it goopy and liquid. It takes a little bit to upload, but once it is uploaded, you can basically apply materials to it and do all kinds of fun stuff to it. And you can always track your uploads in the same tab as the downloads. I'm going to check some of the comments. I see someone says, do they count as just one shape? Could we potentially import an export for our Womps to save? Oh, interesting. You mean like because you run out of areas, could you export it and Yeah, you could. They the memory for imports, I think it's max at about 20 or 27 because they are kind of heavy. But we're actually improving that, so we will have an update on that very soon that will be even more powerful. With being able to import stuff. It looks like my import was interrupted, so maybe I won't be able to. Something didn't go right there with my imports, but if you guys get a chance, check it out. Maybe even I'm being what can I say? Someone's like stopping my import from the team, but it might be just that it's too big of a model. So you do have to watch for your imports having the right amount of polygons. Some of these scientific models do have really, really large polygon counts. So yeah, watch out for that. But yeah, importing things into Womp has been a lot of fun. It's still an experimental feature, as you guys can see. But I think that it will be a really great addition to creating, and I'm excited to see what everyone makes with imports as well. Let's see if I can get it up on Womp. One other thing that I think is exciting about our imports is going to be, yes, being able to import your own bitmap or your own bump map or your own patterns is something that we are working on at the moment. It's not something that works just yet, but alongside this kind of the fact that we can create materials, we're going to allow our users to create materials as well. And we have a few projects going on. Oh, Yuri's giving me some advice to unzip the folder first. Let's see if that works. Maybe it will work. Antarctic meteorite. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to allow people to do their own materials and a lot more fun stuff. I think oh yeah, because it's a zip inside of a zip. Okay, watch out for that with Sketchfab. Good point. They zip things inside of a zip. So there's like a double zip happening on Sketchfab. I forgot about that. Okay. We'll put that in our FAQ too, or maybe we can automatically unzip things. So yeah, we're going to be allowing people to do their own materials and a lot more fun things, especially around customization of materials and with the imports of the 3D models. So just keep in mind, all of this is also a little bit experimental, and there's a lot in the works that's coming up. But I hope that this new release shows everyone sort of the direction Womp is going in. We really want to bring quality and ease of use at the same time. And we're not stopping here. It's going to get a lot better. Okay, yeah, Yuri, thank you. That works. Watch for your imports being really tiny because they actually import with the right size. And so somehow, like, Womp World is gigantic and the, the meteorite is tiny in the Womp World. So, yeah, hopefully you guys can catch your tiny little imports coming in. Yeah, so I think the idea of being able to import these rocks and maybe goop them into things or allow them to, you know, interact with your 3D models in exciting and interesting ways. If you want to change the material for your imports, you can always just add or manipulate the model's, you know, material the way that you would with anything else. And I think that what will be exciting is to see the combination of these different materials, or like having these realistic materials inside of Womp, which we haven't played with yet. Yeah, I think that will be a very exciting new thing to see what people do with. I haven't had a chance to play too much with imported models and my own materials, but I'm gonna be doing a lot of that very soon. So yeah, play around with imports. We do accept all kinds of imports, just like we do with exports, and we do allow basically a really gigantic size file. I believe it's over 2 million polygons to upload, and you'll be able to essentially do anything you want to do that you would usually do with any other 3D model. I think my goop factor is getting really big really fast with this 3D model. That's what's happening. And it's just like exploding into the universe. Let's try maybe a 1. Okay, there we go. It's not. I'm like scared to go too high with the goop. Let's go with maybe like a 10. Okay, there we go. Not too bad. Yeah, so gooping rocks on Womp, I think that's like the new my new obsession. um, we are going to allow folks to also change the material. So this one has its own material on it from this 3D scan, this like scientific 3D scan. But if you want to change, I went too ambitious with the goop. Okay, there we go, 30. That's the sweet spot for these asteroids. Okay, so if you want to change the material of the asteroid that you just imported, you can ignore its material altogether. And so you can create your own material. So let's say maybe I want to put another rock on this. Rock. It's not brick, rock. Let's do this one because I don't know. I didn't like the asteroids rock texture to begin with, so I can put my own texture on it. Maybe it's a little too big. Or I could also choose to multiply, which means I keep the old rock texture and I'm able to then add color or change some stuff with it instead of just doing it. It might be a little buggy, sorry. It seems to be struggling with the asteroid at the moment, but hopefully the team is watching and like live fixing it while I'm streaming. Yeah, imports in general are very experimental, but we decided we wanted to launch them and see what everybody thought instead of kind of continuing to gate all this awesome work that the team has been doing. And also, yeah, this work is super revolutionary actually for the world of SDFs. If anyone comes from Dreams or any other SDF platform, this is a real accomplishment on the tech team because it's a really difficult thing to do. And so we just wanted to put it in people's hands and see what you guys think and what ideas you guys have. Any suggestions, any thoughts? What else would you like to do? Ooh, I like this, the metallic material on the asteroids. It's kind of cool. And yeah, I didn't even think about that idea that you mentioned that you'd be able to actually export your model and bring it back in so that you have more unions and stuff. Ooh, this is kind of cool. If I change make like a psychedelic rock with the glass and zero roughness. Yeah, this is a big game changer for Womp, and I'm actually I was very excited for this launch. And as you guys can see, it's like it actually is kind of endless to play around with. So I'm excited to see what you guys do. All right, a few other changes to Wamp as well. You guys will notice that there is a little bar on the bottom. This is kind of cool. You can move it around if it bothers you. You can also turn it off over here, hide bottom action bar. This is just the beginning of us trying to make things easier as well. So there's going to be a lot more of this stuff coming up and making things easier for everyone. Another big change is you're going to see there's a camera tab. The camera tab will allow you to do everything that it used to do, where it used to be in the scene tab, but now it's a separate own tab. More coming to this, as you can imagine. But you'll have your stuff like your camera animations, and now you can actually crop your images, so you don't just export a giant, image. Those who have been doing image exports, you know what I mean. You can do at the moment, you can do a portrait or landscape, and we're going to be continuing to bring more functionality so you guys can do more and easier exports for whatever you're looking for. I see some folks talking about tablet. Yes, tablet is something we're working on, trying to get it to be as friendly as possible through the browser. Of course, we know folks are preferring an app and preferring it to be an offline app, which is something that we are absolutely also taking into consideration and working on. It's a little bit trickier, but we're also working on that. So if you are waiting for that, it is in the works. We can't promise how fast our team can make these breakthroughs, but it's definitely something that we're working on. All right, so besides the camera, being able to export things a little better, having these camera animations sort of preset, which is something that we had before, but we've improved. Being able to have a frame here, being able to export more easily. You'll see our exports have improved with how and what options you have. If you do have a pro account, we have a clean topology export now, and that actually is something that is really exciting. We haven't made as big of a fuss out of it, but really this one's a huge upgrade for pro users, because your topology will come out in a clean enough and a small enough file size that you could use for things like games. Now, if you are 3D printing, or if you're using that 3D mesh for something that doesn't matter how big your polygons are or like how messy they are, then you can just use your traditional 3D export. But really, this clean topology was a lot of work. The team did a lot of R&D to get an SDF to really export as a mesh that is actually clean and able to be used in different places. We're going to continue to perfect that. So if you guys have feedback, if anybody is using Womp for games or using these exports for media and not for 3D printing, please make sure to give us feedback and let us know how that's working out for you. But yeah, I think those are some of the biggest changes that Womp has had in this last update. I'm trying to figure out how I can turn off my frame. There we go. And I am very keen and excited to see what everyone does with all of this. A lot of things haven't changed, so if you're scared or afraid of the new interface, don't be. It's all the same. Oh my God, I almost forgot. We added 3 more primitives. Oh my God. Like super core to Womp. We've added 3 more primitives. Yeah, I think there's the stream might be a little slow because I know that the team is rushing with a lot of people who've joined Womp today, which is great, but also a little straining. But we did add 3 more primitives to Womp, which includes a cone, a donut. I like to call it donut. It's a torus, and we've also added a pyramid. So let's start a new file because it's struggling maybe with those imports. Yeah, imports will be a little bit tricky, and a warning is that if you do use imports and you're playing around with really large files, there might be a little bit of bugs in there, or it might take a little bit longer to open a file. So new primitives. We have our cone now, and then we have a pyramid and a torus. These work just like our other primitives, and they are super goopy, and they do everything everybody else does. But of course, our cone has two parameters, the height and the diameter. And actually playing around with the cone, mixing with different things is more fun than I thought it would be, because it does open a whole new possibility of, when you goop like two shapes and you get something that's like the perfect shape for something, you never know what the cone will bring. But there's these new shapes that we haven't played around with, or like a new way to make shoes, maybe, that is faster and easier. Of course, ears and all of these things that we usually had to use the curves for, now we can just use the cone for. So finally, we're blessed with a cone, and it's fun. I really like the cone. And the pyramid is really great as well. I mean, similar concept to the cone. I don't have to explain pyramids and cones to you guys, but it is also similar with its parameters. We can't yet change the pyramid in deform it. We are working on that as well. But in a similar way, you can change those two things. And again, new shapes, new things. I mean, it's a whole new era for Womp. So I don't even know. We haven't even had time to play with it enough to see what we can do. Maybe mixing a cone and a pyramid will be an interesting thing. Yeah, that's kind of cool. uh, and the Taurus, which I saw some folks asking questions about the Taurus. It is obviously the donut, the great grandfather of the donut, and it's also an extremely powerful one. And we can change again, just two parameters. You've got the diameter of how big the diameter, the circumference of it is, and then you have maybe it should be called circumference, and then you got the height. One thing to keep in mind is if you do make the height and the diameter the same size, you'll just get a sphere. So you might confuse your donut for a sphere, but don't worry, if you make it big enough, you'll start to see the donut. And of course, these really fat donuts are kind of funny and great also for stuff that maybe we used to use a rounded cylinder for, and now you can use the fat donut to do that. And then of course we had to do all the curve stuff, right? To do maybe a smile or something. So now maybe this will be a good option for us to use instead of using those curves, which were a little tedious to, move around and do stuff with. And now we can just use the donut Taurus to make awesome work. So yeah, I'm super excited, and especially with the goopiness, it's a whole new thing. So yeah, these are some of the latest updates. I'm excited to see what everybody makes. Please share with us. We honestly, sincerely get really excited, sometimes even teary-eyed inside of the company. And we're always excited to see what you guys think. Give us your honest feedback. Tell us what you want. And also, I'm excited for a whole new era where our content creators actually can go out there, be recognized, make some money from Womp, get some work, and be an incredible new maybe career, or maybe a passion time that you get fulfillment from, but also you get rewarded for. And that's really the new era for Womp, is wanting to really empower our users to make a career out of this. So thanks, guys. Thanks so much for jumping into the stream. Thanks for listening to me, and thanks for all of your amazing feedback and your amazing work. Your work is so inspiring to us, and I can't wait to see. I already see some amazing posts, so yeah, I'm excited to see what you guys make. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for all your awesome comments. I love all of you. Thank you. And I'll see you guys on Discord or on Womp. Bye.